Hi, and welcome to Wrong Way. And today we're going to talk and review the EUCService EXN MSS, and I'm going to tell you also a bit about EUCService itself. So let me tell you more about it.
Wrong way.
But before we get into the video, a small disclaimer. First of all, the wheel that you see on all of the recordings is a real legit MSS. It was considered to be MSS, it was tested by another reviewer, Illwheel. You can see another review and it's a MSS. So it's also confirmed by EUCService. Just if you were wondering if it's like a different wheel or modded or whatever, it's a legit MSS Sport line with a 2700 watt-hour battery. Now, I got this wheel, as said, from a friend, and he asked me to ask EUCService if it's okay to make a review about it. And I said, fine, I'll ask. And they said, fine, do the review. And that was the first statement. However, then I got a different answer saying, I'll quote here, that EUCService doesn't need any review at this point because they're busy. I don't really understand how my review has something to do with someone else's busyness, but that's one statement. And then he was just scared about the wheel breaking. I mean, fair enough, but I can also be kind of careful with the wheel. They say that this is a wheel which is not meant for tests. I think this wheel, from a real user, from a real world use case, is the best wheel that you can test. Not anything that is like, prepared before or in any way changed. This MSS, from a owner, is the best review I can get on this wheel. So another red flag, I would say. Then he also wanted to cooperate with me, but I am not cooperating with EUCService. There aren't any affiliate links below here. This is the most down-to-earth review that can be. I also won't post any other dealers below because, I don't know, this is a video both about MSS and EUCService. I don't want to get into any monetary things in this video. Then EUCService also said that they're not interested in the review, and they say it might be not thorough because they are not sure if I work with someone. Additionally, I've been also told that I can't use the EXN MSS and I can't climb hills with this wheel because I don't know it. And they accuse me also of modding my Sherman so it climbs hills better than a regular Sherman, and that I was planning all of that all along. And yeah, so this is a small disclaimer about where this wheel is from, what is EUCService's statement towards my testing of the wheel. And I also highly encourage you, if you have any positive or negative feedback onto EUCService's service, pricing, after-sales support, any good or bad experiences, comment below. I will also shed some more light in the later parts of the video, but now let's get into the EXN MSS review. I don't know really where to start this video because there is a lot of subjects to cover, but maybe first of all I want to thank my friend Baton, who is the owner of this MSS, since a while already, for letting me test this wheel out. There's a huge hype about these wheels, there's a huge unknown, and this will shed some light on both how the wheel works and how EUCService works. First, maybe let's start with the wheel. So the wheel is a EXN. As you can see, this is the base for the MSS, and it has modifications. Sadly, we don't know which, because EUCService doesn't mention what they actually do with these wheels to make them better, which they're not, just small spoilers here. But I've been talking with them and they say that the difference is in the motor and in the motherboard. Very broad statement. And this is one of the 5 versions they've been testing, and this one was the best performing. So don't really know what they do to them, but so therefore I just have to make assumptions. And my assumption is that the biggest modification here is the software. Don't know about the motor, but don't really think it's the motor. And I wanted myself just to make a modded wheel at some point, a veteran Sherman high torque.
And yeah, I fried the motherboard with the new motor. So it's not really easy to work with motherboard and the motor combination of the wheel. But anyways, I've been testing this wheel for a while. I didn't do a range test because, you know, it's the same battery as the EXN, and the ride is just so bad I didn't want it to do the range tests. Yeah, initially I wanted to make a comparison between the regular EXN and the EXN MSS, but this thing is so unrideable that it's not really worth to compare them. But I will show you some parts of my initial EXN review, which I loved. I really like the EXN, where you can see the difference of the behavior of this wheel and the other. All right, so this EXN has a knobby tire, CST, and of course another pedal, some other features, but mainly the biggest difference is the ride of this wheel. And it has obviously 3 modes like all of the other wheels, but none of them is really nice. And the performance, even though they say it's better, is totally the same like the EXN, but at the same time also less accessible. Let me tell you why. So I was testing the incline abilities of the EXN MSS. And it's 35 degrees, so 35-degree incline is okay for it, just like the regular EXN high speed. And 40-degree incline is too much for it. And allegedly, this is a high torque speed, HTS as they call it there, and can't find anything that signifies that this is more torquey or brakes better or makes better inclines than the regular EXN. The 40-degree incline is not possible on this wheel, whilst on my Sherman I can do it. Don't do it too many times though on the Sherman because, you know, it's getting very toasty then. But for a couple attempts I could go up on the Sherman, couldn't go up on the EXN MSS. It's not possible. But same thing applies also to the regular EXN. I can't go up for 40-degree inclines with it. When it comes to acceleration, I did an acceleration test. 3, 2, 1, go. Probably it's a little slower than the regular EXN because of the pedal behavior, which I'm going to mention in a bit. Top speed should be around the same, but I don't feel as comfortable on the wheel to go really quick here. I just did it a couple times. This This is really not a wheel that you want to go high speed on. Let me tell you about the modes then. I was trying all of the 3 modes in this wheel, and they sell it as the soft is the medium is hard, and hard is now the sport mode, or so to speak. But they're just soft, medium, and hard, just weird. So I was riding a bit in a soft mode, and the thing is that it feels more like a hard mode or medium mode in a Sherman. It's not really like the usual Godway soft where it just like bounces around. It sort of stays flat until you lean on a point, and then it gets really soft. So this mode is not really good for riding at all. It's very weird. You can see some clips of me riding on the soft mode now. Just not right to ride with it. And don't get me wrong, I have an MSP with the same tire, with the CST tire. I rode the EXN, I rode the Veteran Sherman. And there the soft mode is not something I use oftentimes, but sometimes I just take soft mode for like easy strolls or just going really off-road where the path is really bumpy. But here it's just a bad mode. Then you have medium, which is the mode that also my friend was usually riding with this wheel. I would say it's the most rideable preset of the wheel, but it's also real weird. So same thing applies in the medium. In regular wheels, you have it going down a bit. When you accelerate, you know, it gives a bit, it leans in, but then it goes back. And here, it's just doing this move very slowly. Up to a certain point, you can overload it, and then it leans like just, I don't know, a couple degrees and stops. It's really weird, and you can do that both in braking and accelerating. And in this mode, you can also feel that the pedals and the whole contraption is just moving around, and it makes the ride unbearable. It's when you accelerate, you get tilt back. When you brake, you get, you know, pedals go the opposite way, so it's more difficult to get some grip. But then if you brake even harder, the pedals go back again. But if you accelerate even harder, then they stay flat. It's just such a bad experience. It's not predictable at all, and it doesn't give you any benefit. Like, it just makes the ride harder, especially on bumps, especially turning. When you turn and brake, then the pedals go down, they dip. When you accelerate and turn, then they go up, which is pretty cool going out of the turn, because then you don't scrape the pedals. But yeah, all in all, it's just not really a usable mode. And then in the medium setting, didn't test it in soft setting, but in medium setting, if there's a lot of successive bumps, then the pedals dip a lot. It's terrible. It's really worse than my MSP. They dip down a lot. And in the regular EXN I was testing before, there was no pedal dip in successive bumps, only in turns. And gotta say, maybe there's a bit less pedal dipping if you stay with the same speed on this wheel than on the regular EXN. But if you brake and turn, then there's more. And with successive bumps on medium mode, also really bad. It's really difficult to ride this wheel.
What's this?
But then there's hard mode, and on hard mode, this thing is very, very, very unbearable. The pedals don't stay flat at all. They just move up and down, and it's so difficult to ride it. You accelerate, you get extreme tilt back, and if you go over 50 kilometers an hour, you're just riding like you would have a tilt back limit on, but I don't have any tilt back set up on this wheel. It's really bad. And the same thing applies to medium mode with the tilt back, but on hard mode you just feel it so much more. And for braking, the pedals go the opposite way. And when you go on turns, This thing is just very, very bad to ride. I initially wanted to go to a different city and compare this to exactly the same spec regular EXN with the same tire, but I didn't want to do it because this is just no fun to ride, sadly. And therefore I will go there just with my MS PhD, which will be more fun. But anyways, with the hard mode here, very unpredictable, pedals move up and down. You can see it also when I'm riding here in the night, the light goes up and down insanely high. It's always kind of hard to capture it on camera, both on the Insta360 and on the GoPro, but hopefully you can see this effect. So yeah, all of these modes are better on the EXN. This is just worse. You are paying for something that is worse than the EXN. But then you might say it's the fault of the calibration. You calibrated the wheel wrongly. But I calibrated the wheel in most of the settings possible. So I calibrated it flat, then it goes up too much. I calibrated it down, so the toes are lower than the heels. But then when I'm braking, I feel like I'm falling off the wheel because it's just tilting so much forwards. And with the pedals down in the medium mode, when you get these successive bumps, you're just like falling off the wheel. If I didn't have any pads on, that might be very tricky. So I tried all the calibration possibilities, and also there is no really good setting for that. In terms of the pressure, I ride the same pressure as I ride my MSP, so I know how it turns, but just the pedal behavior, just the way this machine tilts up and down is just very difficult to ride, and there is no benefit to it. Like I felt like I'm going 60. I look at speedo, which is by the way here in the front, and I was going 40. So the ride is really, really appalling of this wheel, and I don't mean to say it anything about the creator or about the company, but this wheel, as I'm testing it, and this is a real unit, this is a MSS, you have the sticker, my friend was driving it for a while, and this is just a wheel that I wouldn't recommend to anyone who wants to get any wheel. It's one of the worst experiences I had ever on a wheel on my channel. Just because it's so unbearable, and I love the EXN, don't get me wrong, I love the EXN, but this is just very hard. Once you've ridden different wheels, you ride a different wheel after that, like my friend yesterday on the Sherman, he was blasting. I couldn't keep up with my friend on the Sherman, and you know that I'm not really a slow rider. So yeah, when it comes to other options that they have here, there's a display in the front. You can sort of see it in broad daylight, but you can't see it. I mean, in the night, but you can't see it. Barely can see it in daylight. And other than that, it's mostly the same thing. But then you might say the MSS Sport or HTS or whatever it's called is not really a wheel designed for asphalt or concrete use, but maybe it's just for off-road. But I also tried it there, and it wasn't much better, honestly. I also tried both medium and sport mode, or hard mode actually. And in the medium mode, I found my pedals to dip too much for off-road use, and the wheel wasn't predictable at all. Pedals floating around a lot. Still capable because it has the power. It's a EXN in the end, but kind of difficult to maneuver with. And in the sport mode, when going uphill, it was tilting the pedals up, which is good for clearance actually, so that's an added bonus. It also makes climbing a lot difficult, and that's why I have my pads here, I mean my friend's pads, very far forward, because I had to go down on my knees a lot.
Barely.
But nevertheless, in the hard mode, it was a bit more bearable. There was less pedal dipping, but still, it was just difficult to maneuver, to keep the same speed, to work with the bouncing of the wheel. It tended to bounce a lot when I was climbing up a hill, and it was just difficult to feel. Going down from steep inclines, it tilts forward, which makes the job a lot harder. And going up, as said, the pedals go up. I wish they just would stay flat, and that would be fine. Can still do, you know, off-road on this wheel, but it's nowhere as nice as the regular EXN. So yeah, when it comes to the EXN MSS, I know it's a sort of short review, just here me sitting on the bench, but there's really nothing that makes me want to spend more time with this wheel because it's just awful to ride. But then I wanted also to talk a bit about EUCService. And if you have any experiences, both good and bad, with after-sales support or purchasing wheels, everything that goes with breaking wheels and servicing them, then please comment below. And now I'm going to go home and tell you a bit about my experience in working with EUCService.
All right, so initially I wanted to tell you some stories that I've heard with EUCServices, malpractices, and also good stories from other people and users. However, there were also several stories where people wanted to remain anonymous and they also didn't want to tell publicly what their issues are. And, you know, I respect that. However, there is a multitude of cases that are very concerning regarding EUCServices practices, but comment below. I leave that up to you, what you want to share. If you want to help the community, if you want to help other people, other new users prevent from bad practices and bad experiences from EUCService, then just do that below. If you have any positive stuff, then do that as well. So this is one thing. I have some stories that I have confirmed. Maybe I can comment on them below, but I want them to come from you guys. I am not a dealer advisor. However, you know, I have my preferences. I don't want to also be like the one that is saying these things and I have no confirmation or additional info. Just consider the comment section below as a thread to share your experiences with this company. But I wanted to share my experience with EUCService, which was also not the best. Now, I had the MSS for around 3,000–4,000 kilometers, I think a year ago or 1.5 years ago or so, and this wheel was not too bad. I gotta tell you. It also had the pedal dipping thing, but it was by far less noticeable. And at that time, where there was just the MSP high torque, it was sort of the only option in a short term to get a wheel which is fast, like the MSX 100 volt. But has the new cells and can still go and is more modern with better waterproofing, etc., etc. So the MSS I kind of liked. I tried it also a while ago in Spain. Didn't have such strong feelings anymore because we develop as riders. We can push machines more. We can be more careful with our assumptions onto what the wheel does. So I didn't ride it much, but a bit of the magic was gone for sure. Also my excitement was gone at this point because we have so many amazing new wheels, fast wheels like the RS, the Sherman, etc., etc. But nevertheless I had a MSS. So the story begins with my Nikola, which I bought at in EUCService. And this Nikola I sent to EUCService because we agreed upon a deal that I will leave the Nikola at EUCService, they will sell it, and everything that I need to pay more for the MSS, I'll pay more then. So I sent my Nikola there. I was using the MSS for around 3 to 4 months then. Initially I had a big battery, the additional pack, so it had 2,250 watt hours. But after a week or two, an employee asked me that I should send back the pack because they need it for further testing. But then, but after I sent it back, I should get it back like in 2 weeks or so. So I sent it back, never got it back. Even for 4 or 5 months of usage of the MSS. So that was one thing. Then my Nikola was there for around 5 months. And after those 5 months, EUCService decided that, well, they don't want to sell it at all, and that I should sell it myself. So I said, fine. And at that time, I think they changed the tire, and I'm not sure, but they might also tampered with the battery because the battery range was a lot smaller. after I received it again. Nevertheless, I can't really confirm it because I saw the wheel afterwards and I had also a different tire, which was way heavier, very low for an 84 volt Nikola. So anyways, I got the Nikola back, and right away also the motherboard blew. And I had no problems at all for 5,500 kilometers. So imagine sending a wheel, not having it for 5 months, then to hear that it was actually yours for all the time, and then it breaks right away after you sell it. And before, EUCService was also telling me that it's still on warranty, but it turns out it was not. So that was fixed. I wanted to be fair to the person that bought it from me, because I told them that it has warranty, because I thought it was warranty because the EUCService told me it has warranty. So then this was an additional cost, but then additionally the lift switch stopped working, which was also not an issue before. So I was writing the MSS, which is, you know, also very generous, but you know, wheels that are here in my apartment that I use are automatically advertisement because they're on Instagram or Facebook, they're on YouTube. So it's I would say a mutual benefit for both me using them and the seller providing it for me. I oftentimes also receive scooters for free, or I got also unicycles for free. So this is also not something seldom in my business. However, after I sent the MSS back, I was told to pay for the shell and pay for the additional issues that arise for me damaging the wheel during the testing. So this was another thing. And additionally, they took my charger from my Nikola. So I asked them to send them back, but I think I never got it back. And I have that also in messages because I received the wheel back, but I received it without the charger. So yeah, at this point, I was done with EUCService. And I didn't want to provide them any advertisement or testing of the wheels, because even if the wheels would be amazing, it's just not worth it to get any from them. So I thought that at this point the story was over, but there was more and more things, bad things. I heard a couple good things as well, because there were some happiness spikes, I would say, in terms of EUCService. So I highly encourage you to come out with your stories. I know it might be stressful at first, but I think it's good for the whole of the community. So yeah, that's why I stopped working with them, and I'm doing this video for you and for the community, for you watching. So yeah, highly encourage you to comment below what happened. Inflated pricing, sudden drop in range after the wheel gets back from EUCService, missing chargers when you get it back, or accusing of taking chargers, I don't know, very long waiting times like mine. I don't know, all in all, problems with after-sales support or high cost. As said, I leave that up to you. Comment below, and hopefully with this video, with this thread, with this raised awareness, we can avoid further malpractices, especially for new riders that don't know where to buy a wheel, to just not have any hassle, any problems, any issues, also monetary issues, time issues regarding the use of wheels. So yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to say, and I hope we can keep this community clean, transparent, and open for, you know, good businesses, good corporations, clear practices, no lies, no hidden stuff, just the truth. So yeah, let's get back to Outside Adam.
I think there's a lot of people that are still suffering currently for some sort of service issue, or waiting for some sort of parts or whatever with EUCService. I hope there's also a bit more good stories, so share them as well. In the end, my channel is always about the community, and if I notice that there's something really noticeably bad about some sort of product or some sort of company, I will tell you about it, because, well, you are why this channel is working. It's thanks to you that we make these videos, and thanks to you I can inform you about all the good stuff and bad stuff in the wheel world. So if you're still here, leave a like on the video, subscribe to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next video.